On my way to Worcester, Ohio. It's been a cloudy, overcast day. It was raining pretty good when I left Northfield. Now, it was supposed to rain here. It looks like it may. It's not like, hey, Anthony hates racing in the mud. A lot of these fairs cancel if it rains. They just don't hit the stone dust on the track, and as soon as the track, it's not their fault. They race one weekend of the year, most of them, so it's not like they put a ton of stone dust on. When the rain hits it, ruins it. So, I don't know if we're going to get the race today. I'd say a coin flip at this point. It's dry right now. It's 10 o'clock. There's a chance of rain 11, 12, and 1 here in Worcester, so hopefully we can miss it. If we're lucky, fine. If not, then they may cancel, but that's something we'll deal with when the rain arrives or doesn't arrive. It's supposed to be a chance of rain for most of the afternoon in Northfield Park, but Northfield's track can take some water, and I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm super excited. I'm excited to be here today, but truthfully, these are training trips. You're not going to see me go out and gun Purple Aura and Sweet on Pete and 1-2 Skip a Few. I mean, Purple Aura has nothing to prove. This is a tightener for two of them. Now, Sweet on Pete needs the fair points. 1-2 Skip a Few needs the fair points, but the other two fillies are just prepping for next week's Ohio Breeders. I had a great email from somebody yesterday saying, why don't we just stick to the Buckeye with Purple Aura? We could. Listen, mathematically, it's a possibility that she could get knocked out of the Buckeye final, but it's unlikely. When I looked, and I had a long conversation with not one but two clients that are extremely analytical, and not shockingly, their feelings, and two, their numbers were exactly the same. A lot would have to be an unlikely result in Delaware in the Buckeye for Purple Aura to get knocked out. Now, virtually what they're saying is 4 horses that have been mediocre all year would have to jump up and be 1-2 in the Buckeye in Delaware for her to be surpassed, and the likelihood of that happening is slim. Not to mention there's some of those horses in the Buckeye ahead of her that aren't going, right? I don't know where Sweet on Pete was sitting, but she's not allowed to race in the Buckeye, so it doesn't matter where she was sitting in the Buckeye points. And there's a couple of horses that haven't raced in 6-7 weeks, and they're likely in the field. They're not going to any Buckeye final. So the odds of Purple Aura getting knocked out are minuscule. So they are there. They're real, but they're minuscule. So we opted for the Breeders' Championship. 1, she deserves it. She got 4 in a row. She's sharp as a tack. She's riding a big high. And 2, they could race for upwards of 40 to 60,000, which is a lot of money. Listen, I don't own any of Purple Aura, but I do have a responsibility to the people that do. I do have a responsibility to you or our clients to make sure that we have her in the right place at the right time. Part of that was racing her at the fairs this year. And racing her at the fairs this year built her confidence to where she is brimming with confidence right now. So we're going to use that to our advantage. Yeah, she might go out and get beat in the Breeders' Championship, but you'll never win what you're not in. And I truly believe she deserves to be in there. Same as Sweet on Pete. This will be Sweet on Pete's last race of the year coming up, but it won't be Purple Aura's. She fits the Buckeye final and the consolation, so she's got some big races coming up. Same as 1-2 Skip a Few. You know, she is easily in the hunt to make the Buckeye final, and maybe even the fair final. This little girl's got some racing to do still towards the end of the year. So there's a lot going on today. Today is the only important thing about today. The only importance of today is for 1-2 Skip a Few. Everything else isn't relevant. The other two fillies are just going around. And both of them have decent horses in with them. The one filly of Kurt Suggs beat somebody. Their last start, Creatine Star, beat 1-2 Skip a Few in the Buckeye. 57 or 58 her last start. She's in with one of the other fillies. So, I mean, Pete's never been on a fair track before. We're really just looking to prep them. That's it. Super proud and impressed of 3 Point Blue Chip last night. Man, that was awesome, wasn't it? You know, here's a colt that obviously has a long way to go to reach our expectations, but some kind of jump forward. I think we all can collectively erase his first lifetime start. You know, that was a little unfair, but at the same time, it's done. Second start, man, I look back, I told everybody, you know, he trotted in 59 and then right to 56. No. his only charted mile was 2:1. Now, I'd been in 2 minutes with him a couple of times, but, that's quite a jump for him. James was saying that there's a lot of people out there looking for horses for the Mohawk Millions. I said, well, I wouldn't even know how to price them, and I don't know if I'd want to right away. Here's a colt, though, that fits the Valley Victory. And if he really comes forward in the next 4 weeks, he does fit the Breeders' Crown. So he's paid into both. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. Who would have thought yesterday afternoon that we'd be talking about Valley Victories and Breeders' Crowns after a maiden race? But, still the core belief of me, James, we're 100% in lockstep. Let's make sure this colt can do absolutely everything we're asking him to do easily when we ask him to do it. So, perfect trip last night, perfect drive last night. That's exactly how I want him to look. That's exactly how I want him driven. James is built for 3 Point Blue Chip. They're a good team, and super excited for the rest of the year. Listen, he wins an hours of 1, an hours of 2, and they're like, for whatever reason, we decide that that's enough. We can put him away. We can do whatever we want. He's our horse. But at the same time, pretty excited about what I saw last night. I think everybody else is also. There are stakes for him. They are in my periphery. They're right there. I see them. But I want to make sure that we continue to do what's right for this colt. I told you guys weeks and weeks and weeks ago, there's something there. I don't know what it is yet. So last night was a pretty good indicator. He's not ready for the King of the Norths and those horses. Now, how could he be? King of the Norths raced in Grand Circuit races all year. The horses that he would have to race against in the Breeders' Crown, in the Valley Victory, those are battle-tested 2-year-olds that have been in the deepest end of the ocean all summer for the most part. This guy just dipped his toe in the shallow end. So, most importantly, let's just take our time, not get ahead of ourselves, but at the same time, don't let last night pass you by without being excited also. There's nothing wrong with being excited as long as your expectations are tempered. So I'm pumped, you're pumped, everybody's super happy about what has happened with 3 Point Blue Chip and absolutely what has happened with the stable.ca this summer. So super excited, want to keep it going, want to keep moving forward. I couldn't be happier than I am right now. Now, I guess would be a good point a good time to bring it up. I've had more and more clients message me and say, Anthony, you had said something about maybe potentially buying a horse, like you did last year with 3 Point Blue Chip. Count me in 100%. Now, I'll be honest, I think it's only fair I make a list so I don't get too far ahead of myself. I do now have a running list of clients that want to be involved in that type of horse. It is outside the purview of what the stable.ca stands for. I guess not too far. 3 Point Blue Chip was a $115,000 yearling that I really thought would go for $250,000 or more at the sale. So although I thought there was value there, that's still a lot of money. So I guess it's in the gray area of the stable. Yes, it was value, but man, that's a lot of money to spend on a horse. And we all have to be cognitive of that as we go forward, is that 3 Point Blue Chip could have just as easily gone out and finished 5th last night. We all would have had our hearts broke and said, I guess he's just a horse. There are tons. Somebody sent me a message last night, said there was 36 Muscle Hills sold for 6 figures last year. One of them has made a number of dollars back. One. So that's an important stat, not to scare anybody, not to worry anybody, but at the same time to have a realistic view of the reality of horse racing is that most of those expensive horses will never make their money back. And I was terrified in February, March, and April that 3 Point Blue Chip was ordinary. Yes, there was something there, but he showed a lot of signs of ignorance and a lot of signs of maybe not really caring if he did his work well or not. And as I said to you, it just, at some point it seemed to me like that was more mental immaturity than ignorance, which clearly it was. James moved, and it's not gone. James said he warmed him up yesterday and he was bad warming up, trying to pull up and be ignorant, not want to do his work. It was a hot night. He was bothered. He was sweated up really good in the paddock, I was told. Amy told me after. He was just lathered up when he came in from warm up. She stripped all the gear off him, bathed him all off. But I believe the training we put into him came into effect after that. James put him in a perfect position to strike, and his computer clicked on, and there was the breeding waiting for him, and the speed that we'd put into him and the work that we'd put into him. It really wasn't that hard to beat those horses last night. And when he took over the lead, he didn't pull up and hang, which he could have done. I wouldn't have been shocked if he did it, but to trot away and just crush them and drive away from them, yes, they were maidens. But when you're looking at a horse that shows a mile in 2:1 as his only qualifier, been in 2 minutes, and then drive away like a horse that has trotted in 56 4 or 5 times, that's talent. That's just sheer raw ability. So, yes, we are going to look for another one. We have every year. Just the first 3 years, I couldn't buy one. I had a list of 4 or 5 horses, and we just couldn't buy any of them. And which was much more worrying to me than the fact that we didn't get them was none of the ones I picked out were any good. You guys go back and look at Glacier Hanover. Remember him? Oh, it's like a $300,000 yearling. I was ready to pay $140 for him. I didn't even get my hand up. But, you know, these things happen where they're just not, they're not good, right? And you never, ever know. So a massively high risk maneuver, so to speak, buying these horses, somewhat outside the purview of what the stable stands for, but at the same time, if we can find another value-based horse, maybe another horse that I thought was worth a lot more money than it went for, even though it still went for a lot of money, then I guess we can dance in the gray area of the stable after all. I can hold my head high and say, I still think that was a value purchase, and we can hopefully buy a horse with, again, a world-class pedigree that may turn out to be a special horse for us someday. So that list is being compiled now. If you want to be a part of that list, listen. Let's call it 150,000 American. 3 Point was 115, but let's say we'd be looking for a horse around 150. So if you say, yes, Anthony, I'd like to be a part of that list of people, and those people will have first come, first served basis on the horse itself. If you want to be on that list, no problem. I can put you on that list. But let's start with a look at saying, and this, there'll be no, hey, send me that check beforehand. This isn't a partnership situation where I need the money up front or I'll have to have that money up front. This is simply me saying, if you want on this list, this is you saying to me, Anthony, when you buy that horse, if you buy that horse, and I'll let everybody know beforehand what horse I'm looking at. It won't be a, hey, surprise, I bought 3 Point Blue Chip type situation, I don't think. But I would aim for, let's say 130 to 150. So the top end of that would be 150. If you call me or message me or email me and say, put my name on that list, I need you to understand that that list will be for a horse that we pay maybe upwards of 150 for, US. So, if you want to be a part of something like that, I was surprised how many people wanted to be, right now, wanted to be. And if you want to be, that's great. If we compile a list of people that want to be involved in something like that, I'm fine with that. And I'm obviously encouraged, excited, and humbled, quite frankly, with that. So I'm getting here to Worcester right now. I'm going to warm up the babies and race them this afternoon. I'll bring you a little video maybe after the qualifiers, maybe after the races. But for now, super excited with the way the horses are racing right now. And excited about today. And really excited about Friday's sale in Ohio. I will talk to you all very, very soon. It's raining here, so I wouldn't say, oh, I'm going to have a great day. I just hope it stays away. Don't mind a little sprinkle, but we don't want to get soaked. Talk to you soon.